Hi, my name is Krista Pennington, and
I'm Daniel Pennington.
we're from Gunnison, Colorado, and I used to go to North Hills. 2.5 years ago, we were expecting our second child. It was a perfectly healthy and normal pregnancy, so we had a routine appointment, and when she did the monitor to check for the heartbeat, there was no heartbeat. And I didn't know what to think at that point. I was in such shock. It took a little while to realize that meant our baby had died. It was a blur. It was a complete whirlwind. I couldn't think straight at that point. Then we went to the hospital and delivered our stillborn baby. I have never felt such darkness and despair my entire life. I really just wanted to die at that point. The days after our son's death were horrifying. Planning his memorial service was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It all felt so wrong. During that time, I did not sense God's presence in an emotional way. It was a very dark time. 3 months after our son Josiah died, we became pregnant again, and it was another boy. It was a high-risk pregnancy, and it was terrifying, the whole entire pregnancy. Long story short, our son Owen was born at 39 weeks. He was healthy, and for the first time I felt like I could breathe. When Owen was 6 months old, he suddenly became very ill. Daniel and I decided that it was best just to take him to the ER to make sure that nothing more serious was going on. So they did an ultrasound of his belly and found that he had colitis. And at that point they said, we should probably send you to Children's Hospital. We spent several hours in the ER. I was just holding Owen, and he was just lying there limp at that point. Vital signs all normal, but something was not right. So the ER doctor was waiting for results from the blood work, and when she got those back, they were all a little bit off. She knew something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. She eventually said, we're just gonna send you to the PICU, which is the pediatric ICU. At that point, my heart sunk because I knew that this was very serious, and I just didn't know what to expect. And it was still pretty laid back at this point. They were just trying to figure out what was going on, hooking him up to the monitors. His vital signs were still stable, and I remember standing by Owen's bed and watching him, and I told the nurse, he's starting to turn gray. And at that moment, 20 people flooded the room, and he started going into multi-organ failure. The scariest point was, I think the second day we were in the PICU, Owen's blood pressure had dropped so low, and he was on 3 medications to raise his blood pressure, and it wasn't going up, so he was about to die. The last resort is to put him on a machine called ECMO, and it bypasses your heart and lungs. So Daniel and I went out to the waiting room, and just this feeling of dread, and I knew people all over the country were praying, and I couldn't even pray. My mind was just in turmoil. The doctor came out too soon, and as soon as I saw her come out, my heart sunk, and I thought she was going to tell me that Owen had died. But she said right before they made the incision, his blood pressure went up just enough to call it off. That was the first encouraging news that we had gotten that week, and from then on it was still a struggle for his life. We were in the hospital over 60 days and in the PICU for 5 weeks. Owen made it. He survived. He has had 9 surgeries. He's going to have another surgery. In the process, his leg was paralyzed. He has nerve damage. But he is learning to walk now. He's 15 months old. And we're still on this journey with him, trying to help him physically. It's been very difficult because we feel like we haven't had enough time to process every loss, and then another loss comes. In all these losses, I have questioned God's love for me. I have not felt that emotionally. And I have to keep going back to the cross and reminding that Jesus showed his love on the cross. Owen right now is very happy and I would say oblivious to everything that has happened. He has scars all over his little body, which is at this point harder for me than it is for him. But watching him suffer and go to surgery after surgery after surgery and not knowing each time if it's going to be my last time to see him, it's all going to come to an end one day. Really just that eternal perspective, because it's not all going to be good here on earth. And that's hard for me to accept, but it's really where I find peace